Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's live streaming Q&A stream. Today we're going to talk about how to stream AI generative visuals from Stable Diffusion to and from Unreal Engine. So for those of you who are interested in making generative content with Unreal Engine, we have been really looking at different possibilities of streaming your kind of visuals out of Unreal Engine into TouchDesigner, and during which I realized that a lot of people are using this workflow because they want to access Stable Diffusion and to use Stable Diffusion in a really dynamic way. So for those of you who do not know much about Stable Diffusion, it is a diffusion kind of model that generates images based on really, really large kind of image data sets. And so I believe it's trained on the Lion data set of from a German institution. With that comes with lots of different styles, it is open source, and you're able to kind of just access a model, prompt this model with your input, whether it be from Unreal Engine directly, game views. You can also add prompts and use different ways to kind of prompt Stable Diffusion and to get generative image outputs. So today we'll be exploring certain kind of workflows around this, but just before I begin, I'm going to revisit what Spout is. I feel like a lot of you who have just started learning about live streaming, you might need a bit of contextual information on what Spout is. So Spout, I heard this saying today that I think is really, really great. You can think of Spout as HDMI without cables. And it's a very neat solution that allows us to minimize latency. So it allows two or more graphics and media programs running on the same GPU to share the same video texture. And this means that you don't have to re-encode the video in order to share it between different software. And so what's really, really great about Spout is if you're a new media artist, you're always chasing the kind of real-time interaction. Spout is great because it has no latency, compression, or CPU overhead. And because it's the same texture that's being used by all this different software, there's essentially no latency. So what is it good for? Spout is therefore a really good solution for high quality, high resolution, and lossless video feed transmission, providing really good visual quality and performance. And in comparison to NDI, which has more latency, and is probably also compromising a bit of the kind of visual quality, Spout doesn't have that issue at all. However, it is limited to one single GPU, so you can't use it to share between machines. So some common workflows for Spout. For the past 2 weeks or so, we've been exploring different workflows involving Spout with the Off-World Media Production Toolkit. So the first thing you might have seen is around projection mapping, sending kind of visuals to software like Resolume, MapMapper, and 4V. And so if you need an example for that, you can think of the recent Balenciaga show that uses, I believe, Disguise. So if you have Unreal Engine, you can use it to send to things that need projection mapping or even LED walls. Alternatively, you can also create really expansive media work with TouchDesigner, Notch, and Unity. You can work with a lot of broadcasting, live streaming, and general media sharing with OBS Studio. So this is a really common workflow that most streamers just use. If you think about how I'm streaming right now, I'm using OBS Studio. And so if you want to stream with Unreal Engine, this is something you could also do. And with that comes VTubing. So it involves mapping a virtual character, kind of having a virtual character in Unreal Engine with a camera capture and then streaming that video texture somewhere else. And finally, last week we covered how to stream data as textures via Spout to kind of instantiate the particle systems with just pixels, and I think that's so amazing. So today we're going through something more streamlined. We're going to follow one single workflow to learn to stream AI generative visuals from Stable Diffusion to and from Unreal Engine. And so you will learn 3 steps. Step 1 is to set up Touch Diffusion inside TouchDesigner. Step 2, generate AI visuals in TouchDesigner based on visuals streamed from Unreal Engine. And then step 3, stream these AI visuals back to Unreal Engine, potentially for virtual screens and backgrounds. So without further ado, I'm going to kind of show you our first step, which is setting up Touch Diffusion inside TouchDesigner. So as you can see here, we have got Touch Diffusion on GitHub. I'm going to share this link in the comment section below, as well as the caption. So what Touch Diffusion is twofold. If you've been following a lot of new media art, following kind of like developers within the scene, we have a few amazing kind of developers working with Stable Diffusion and integration of these image generation models. So Oleg Chomp is one of our veteran NDI users, and Touch Diffusion is based on a kind of real-time interaction with Stream Diffusion, which is another thing he's built. So Stream Diffusion is created by another developer that is a pipeline level solution for real-time interactive generation. So it looks at kind of, in this case, we're using image to image, but we're basically using really fast image models and almost doing that for real-time interactive generation. And so we're really lucky to have models that run really fast and are optimized for basic GPUs like mine. I currently have a 3080 Ti on my laptop, and we'll also be using the SD Turbo model. So I'll explain that a little. But first of all, Oleg's basically created an, I think maybe a few months ago, created an NDI kind of implementation with Stream Diffusion. So you can use Stream Diffusion and use NDI to send visuals out. And currently, this has just been released really not too long ago. You can see that it's updated 5 days ago, and it was updated probably last week. We have the Touch Diffusion TOTS. So those of you who are interested in TouchDesigner, this is really designed for you. So I'm just going to show you what you can do to clone this repository. So my quickest way of cloning a repository to my desktop is to download GitHub Desktop, and I'm sure most of you already have this. So if you click on Open GitHub Desktop, you will be kind of directed to your desktop app. In my case, I've already cloned Touch Diffusion, but if not, it will guide you to, it will basically guide you to find a directory on your computer and clone it there. So I've cloned Touch Diffusion already, and it's on my computer. And secondly, I will go into my documents, which is where I've cloned Touch Diffusion. You will see that it already has some of the folders here. You might not have as many folders as I do, but what we need to do is follow the documentation over here. So I'm assuming that you will be able to install Python, Git, and CUDA Toolkit 11.8 on your own, just following these kind of step-by-step guides. and download Touch Diffusion, which we've just done together. So the next step here is to open up web-ui.bat. So a bat is an executable, and it allows you to open, in this case, we'll need to open with text editor. So like so, right click on this and edit in Notepad. So in the case of this, we will need to open up the bat and set path to Python 3.11 in set Python path. So if you are new to kind of using these generative models, Python path is really how you could think about command line operations access Python. And so if you are able to locate where your Python kind of application is stored, then it will be able to use this Python 3.11. And so in the case of my computer, what you have to do is basically add quotation marks to the end of this equal sign, and then paste in the location of your python.exe kind of file. So set Python path to this, hit save, and then close it down. Afterwards, you will need, and you'll be guided to run this. So I've already done this before, but I'm gonna just do it together. So once you click into this, you will see this kind of command prompt popped up. Again, a bat is an executable, so it's kind of got all the command lines that you need to enter, and it's automated for you. So in your case, it might take longer to kind of create a virtual environment and activate the virtual environment. In my case, because I've done it just this week, all I need to do is to click on this bat, and it will show you that it's activating the virtual environment, it's launching web UI, and it will check whether all the models required already exist. So in this case, you will see that it will create a directory for models, it will create a directory for acceleration LoRa's, checkpoints LoRa's, VAE engines, and finally running on local URL. So this is your sign to copy, and then click, and then basically paste it into your web browser. So brilliant. All you need to do now is, you see that this has, this is basically just a user interface for you to access Stable Diffusion. And so you'll have to select a model type. I would recommend, so Stable Diffusion, that's SD 1.5 Turbo. I think for me, the width and height for 512 times 512 is fine. So I'm just gonna go with that and make engine. So this is going to take some time. We just need to wait. And once you click make engine, you'll see that extra command line is added. It's basically making an engine. So I believe it's ready. Yours will take probably much longer, as you might have to download the model. That's many kind of gigabytes of data that you need to download. But in my case, they've said that expected 8 FPS, and I'm using SD Turbo, which I believe is the more superior and faster model to run on my computer. Again, I'm using the 3080 Ti, so it's all right. It's not the worst. and yes. So in this case, I will be showing you where the Touch Diffusion Tox is. For those of you who have cloned the repository, this is already in your folder. All you need to do is drag this into a blank TouchDesigner template. In my case, I've created a TouchDesigner template yesterday. It really can be just this blank one, don't worry, it will all be the same. Let me just open up my TouchDesigner now. So luckily, so for those of you who have just used this for the first time, you will need to click install and update dependencies before you even make engine. So it should prompt you to do that. In my case, I've had a few pop-up windows with some errors, and I basically clicked fix pop-up and everything was running normally, so I just assumed that it's fine, went into the engine tab and made engine. So that's basically it. So my Touch Diffusion template is also really simple. I have a video device in. Currently, I have my webcam on. I've just hidden the viewer. Then if you drag your Touch Diffusion Tox into TouchDesigner, you should get the same thing. So first, we need to find in the Settings tab, find the Touch Diffusion folder. In my case, I've placed it inside my documents. And so I only have to kind of find the folder for this and paste it in. Next, I think I'm just going to kind of like choose the engine, and then you feel free to click refresh. In my case, I'm just going to click load engine and pulse this. And once I hit pulse, I feel like it takes a while to respond, so it must be doing something. Now we can see what's happening. Nice. So as mentioned, I have my webcam connected to this. And obviously we are getting very low FPS. My reasoning for this is, unfortunately, I'm running OBS on my screen share, and I'm also running my screen share on Discord, so this is essentially going to take a massive cut on my FPS. But for the purpose of today, this is working just fine. So in this case, my Touch Diffusion is working. I can change the prompt into something more exciting. Currently have anime on, but I'm going to think about, I am going to use, what can I see? Maybe something along the lines of plants in an office with white walls. Whatever, this should be fine. Great, I have exactly what I want. And again, this is really creepy. So as mentioned, I'm using my video device as my input, so you'll see that it has a human-ish figure, and I get to basically cycle through the seed to get something kind of close to me and different to me, and I can also denoise this input enough for me to completely dissolve into this background. So that's all lovely stuff. I'm going to just leave it as that. So many of you will ask, what we want to use Touch Diffusion for, particularly in relation to Unreal Engine. So I'm just going to replace the video device in with something called Spout, siphon Spout in. It's going to be a bit of a lag, but we can do this. And now you can see that my spout isn't receiving anything, but this is really, really good stuff. I'm just going to delete this and pause my Touch Diffusion for a while just to get my FPS running and clean. Next, the kind of first step I'm gonna do is to kind of block my scene so that I'm really using my game view for Unreal Engine and to stream that out to Touch Diffusion. So I think I'm going to use this. I have a sample project that's really fun. I hope, let me check where that is and whether I have the plugin saved there. So kind of combining different things here, but the mass sample is like a crowd simulation AI. And I can copy the media pipe for you plugin folder and copy in. So this is all, you can do this in any project really. I've just decided to do this in a more convoluted way. So I'm gonna take some time opening that up. But why don't we also explore what we can do with here? So if you're familiar with using generative models or image prompting models, you can add both a prompt and a negative prompt. And if you are kind of more familiar with TouchDesigner, you'll know that you can change these prompts dynamically. So if you have a DAT table, a DAT kind of data table, let me see what you can do. So it can literally be a table or text, something like that. You can basically have many, many, many rows of data and just feed this text to the prompt, and it can be updated over a period of time. Similarly with negative prompt, this is to kind of make sure that the image output doesn't include the things that you've listed in negative prompt, and it will affect neighboring concepts as well. So that's really interesting. Another technique you can use is to use abs time.seconds, which is in how you can cycle through seeds from in Touch Diffusion. Or anything. So it's just a technique where you can cycle through this slider by adding a time component in there and speeding up depending on how much you want to multiply it. And then alpha, which you already know what alpha is relating to transparency. So these are all the kind of exposed parameters for now. Some of you on Discord have also asked about if I use Touch Diffusion. To be honest, I first started using Stable Diffusion in TouchDesigner through another person, Simulate, who's created amazing talks on this. Also works with Comfy UI, so on and so forth. So really recommend looking at their stuff. But Oleg's talks was completely open, kind of open for download, so I've just used it. Just wait for another minute or so. The mass sample project is opening up now. Great, it's on. So we have the mass sample hall. So this is just a project I've cloned, really, but to start, I'm going to, in any scene, whatever scene you have, I'm going to add a Spout Sender Manager. Again, if you're not familiar, we use the Spout Sender Manager to send render targets. So I'm going to create a render target. I'm just going to save it in my content. I'm going to hit active, and it will automatically create a name and fix gamma. So I am already sending this texture out, but I don't have something that is capturing the scene and writing to the render target yet. So what I'm going to do is to use the most simple one, which is a viewport capture. Viewport capture is great for any game view because it will just update depending on whatever game view it is. Here you'll need to apply the new texture render target 2D. So perfect. Now you can have a look at your sender, and you'll see that in your Spout sender, it's already writing to this render target. Perfect. This is all you need to do in Unreal. Depending on how you want to block your scene, you can add different boxes and cubes. So, wow. So this cube's default material is this cursor. So amazing stuff. Just gonna duplicate this. And I'm going to hit play. So I've just hit play. This is a sample content that is already there. And I'm going to start with this. So on TouchDesigner, I have to go to Siphon Spout in and click use Spout Active Sender. With this, you will automatically see the amazing Spout in. Which is used to drive Touch Diffusion. So just making sure that my viewport capture is doing it right. We go to TouchDesigner now. I'm going to hit play, and you'll see that this texture that's coming in is driving. It's essentially driving animations in my diffusion model. And because the frame rate is kind of unstable, the seed is also kind of unstably updating. So this is imagine using this real time without the need of having to stream to YouTube, OBS, and Discord at the same time. You should be able to get around 20 FPS to 30. I believe for my GPU, you're supposed to get 30 FPS, which is pretty good for a stream. So this is it. I'm going to have them side by side to see what we can do with this. So just going to have the view. As I am moving along the space, you'll see that my environment is also matching me. Really, really, really fun. I'm going to turn the denoising strength a bit down so we get more kind of similarity between image on the left and image on the right. This is really giving an extra layer to It's really giving an extra layer to our image, our game view. So one thing we can do is basically stream this back as your as a game overlay. And something we might be able to do is to create a widget and add this as my game view. So I'm going to create another render target. Render target. So I'm lazy for naming them today. So I'm going to use a Spout receiver manager to receive onto this texture target. And so what we need to do on TouchDesigner is to add a Spout out. Then I'm going to create a widget blueprint, like so. I mean, we can change many things with this. You can apply a texture, to a material, so on and so forth, but you can also do many, many, many things. Just to make sure we don't have a feedback loop, we're sending type td siphon spout out is the name, and in here we choose td siphon spout out, and we'll basically get this touch diffusion view in our game. So perhaps something we can do is to create a widget blueprint, add a canvas. It's getting very slow. Let's pause this a little to make sure. It's also a bit too hot in the UK at the moment, so I'm going to, my computer is going to be much slower. Canvas panel and image. So I'm not going to deal with this too much, apart from kind of applying the image, which I believe we can do somewhere. Apply the image. So render target. One. And we're going to go to the level blueprint, click on begin play, then create a widget class. Create widget, click on that widget, and add to viewport. Done. Compile, save. Let's see what this looks like. This is so weird. So we're getting massive latency, as you can see. But we're basically, you're navigating in this space, but it's quite dizzying because we have bad frame rate. But you're basically navigating this space in completely generative vision. So that's pretty cool. It's very dizzying because of the frame rate. That's nice. I can still semi-navigate it. Okay, this is cool. So our experiment worked. Now I'm going to not use this widget blueprint. Instead, maybe I want to use this Spout texture as something else. So possibly I want to go back to our spawning scene. And what is this space? Maybe I want to change this. Maybe I want to change the material of this. I see. So this is the blueprint, and I need to change the texture of something. So I'm using this documentation target. I'm going to create a new material and replace it with that. So I'm just going to hit duplicate. Instead of vertex color, I'm gonna drag in the render target, which is over here, and hit base color. Make sure that show plugin content is out. Show engine content. And now this should up. Oh, this is the text. Silly me. Default text. Now we've got something that works. So this little target here is what we're sending to TouchDesigner and sending back. So of course this is a very simple this is a very simple technique for now, but you might want to use this for something more virtual production set like, so having something huge in your space like so. And imagine this being a stage. You can use emissive materials. You can create different cameras and send this dynamically to TouchDesigner, but there's so much you can do. Again, here this is following my game view, so this is changing stuff massively. So I'm going to change up the prompt just to show you what other possibilities you can do. Fiction, outer space, psychedelic maybe. Ooh, I'm starting to get characters in my space. Lovely stuff. Just going to see what this looks like. So that's pretty much all I have to share you today. I hope you enjoyed this really simple workflow, but this just shows you a really quick way, kind of quick prototype that anyone can do within an hour's time. And you can play with this in many ways. And let me know how it goes for you. Hopefully your frame rate is way better and you don't have to work on so many so many programs at the same time. But I hope this stream was really informative and is helpful. So thank you so